Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start there. I'm sure there are people that are gonna be coming in and out, but we're just gonna continue from where we are for the interest of time. And Avi's gonna be helping me out, and I hope that Chris can jump in, and all of you guys can jump in too, because you have done a lot of work through the different programs, so that we can have more of an engaged conversation. Instead, I really don't like just talking because it just sounds like I'm preaching. And I really like it when we are more engaging with the material in a way that makes, like, how can I apply this to me now here in this moment, right? So, and I was going to talk about the dreams and the personal myth, but it was going to be so much to try to get everything in, plus the breath work. So I decided to focus mostly on the personal myth because I think that's something that I think we all dream, and we know that, oh my God, maybe there's something there, but we never consider how important the personal myth and these myths are, like, at a very profound level for all of us, each one of us. And I hope that by the end of today that we can gain a deeper appreciation for understanding how these personal but also cultural myth, the myth of the deities and the different energies throughout not only our culture, but in other cultures that sometimes we have no idea, and those dreams come up. They come up in the dreams and we have no idea. We may start speaking a different language. We have no idea why this is coming up. So by the end of today, I hope that we can gain a deeper appreciation for what this looks like. So we're going to go over the myth, the origin of the purpose of this myth, the relevance that they have for us. I hope that by the end of today, when we go through the organs and the conflict that we can observe, not only in our dreams, but in life, right? Like in life, when we have these conflicts, do I do this? Do I not? And we are battling these parts, right? That are conflicted, and how this may be showing up, and why we may be able to capture this through our dreams or through our day-to-day experiences. And then we're going to go into exercises, a couple of exercises, and the breath work. And I guess I'm going to leave it up to you. If you want to do the full breath work, I'm up to it. I think if we take part of what we learned today and bring it into the breath work, you're going to get so much from that breath work experience, so that it's going to be worth all of our time. So myth, this is something that in some of the ancestral practices that I belong to, that I practice, we have these energies of, do we understand what is happening in our dreams to work with some of these energies when they come, and not for the purpose of I have to be a healer or I have to be in divination, but for day-to-day life. So when you go to a priest or priestess in one of these, like a curandero, sometimes they will ask you about your dreams, like, what have you been dreaming lately, so that they can help you diagnose the problem. So this myth, they go beyond the stories, because the stories is almost like, imagine the carpentry of the universe, like a carpet interwoven. And we have these stories from all of these different places, and they all share similarities. The names may change, but essentially the essence, the cosmic order of that power, of that force, is interwoven into every story, and through the creation stories, the living patterns of who we are, our collective, our family, ancestors, and obviously those that are going to come after us. So the myths are these very symbolic and archetypal framework that reveal to us the instincts of those who came before us, and those who we are now, and those that come after us. So it's a very beautiful way of seeing it, how all of these, everything that happened through the history of our planet is recorded within us, in the different organs, in our skin, in our different chakras, in the different centers. All of that history is recorded within us. So this body is holding all the memories of our planet's existence, of the universe existence. And all of that is in our organs, is in our bodies, in our heads, is in our brain, in every part of our body, in our hair, everywhere that we can think of, in our cells, in our genes. All of these myths are interwoven into who we are as a species, from the animal, the plant kingdom, and everything in between. So these are very symbolic stories to give us the teachings that the ancestors needed to pass from generation to generation about who we are today. It's honestly one of the most beautiful things that I really love working with. You all know that I love working with dreams, because with the dreams we gain such a deep understanding of our spirit and soul, and how our soul and spirit is talking to us, how our ancestors are talking to us, our spirit team. But the myths are almost the images that are created to give us the chi of what we need to do in order for us to find our path, to find the purpose of us being here, and then to experience that in this life. And Joseph Campbell, he's known for saying that, we're not here to find the purpose of life. We're here to experience being alive here now. So I see the myth as the images that are given to us by our soul spirit, our spirit team, our ancestors, our future self, coming together to give us the images in our dreams that will help us wake up to what is beyond this reality. It's really going through the transcendence, this idea of really connecting with the higher power and inner higher wisdom that is within us, that can only be really reached when we really pay attention to these symbols, to these images that become symbol through the work that we do with them. And like I said, in every culture, no matter what, we're going to have these stories that guide us to understand the instincts. What are the different instincts that we have as a human species, as an animal species, right? Giving us the plant, the mineral kingdom, all of that is within us. So depending on what are you experiencing in your dreams, you may experience your culture, your own individual culture where you were raised, where you were born, but you can also experience, as you continue on, you're going to be able to experience other people's culture, because essentially they are our own too. But we are spending our freedom of consciousness so that it becomes like, oh my God, I don't even know why I'm speaking or hearing this language. And now you're activating something else within you that is giving you access. It's almost like finding the gatekeepers in our dreams that are giving us access to something that is beyond our original place of birth and family of birth, expanding that consciousness to the other as we go through this process. The other, as we all know, sometimes it's not the people that we relate to. It could be people that we have no idea of. So it's probably one of the most beautiful things to do when we're opening the heart chakra, is when we really start connecting with some of these older people, right? Older cultures, older ancient ancestors that we had no idea of, people that we never consider our equal. Sometimes that happens too, because we need to experience, like if we're raised in New York, in the city, how is it like to connect to a tribe in South America, in Africa or Asia? And what is that like? And that can only come through our dreams and our experiences in the dreams to activate these archetypes that are going to give us a different perception of life. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So again, these archetypes, these myths that are holding an archetype, an idea of an instinct, a primal instinct of what it means to be human, holding this idea of the archetype of that energy. And every archetype, every deity, every orisha, every spirit guide, every even our own ancestors are going to have an archetype of who they were when they were human, right? And then when they continue on and they go through their spiritual evolution, they may become part of that family of the archetype where they are always doing a specific function to help the family release and improve by doing the function of the archetype that they have chosen, which is, I mean, in the ancestral program, we did talk a little bit about that. But anyway, so the ancestors can have an archetype of the divine mother, the Shiva energy. It can have an archetype of the Nago nation with the warrior spirit. It can have an archetype of the divine child with the divine twins. So the different ancestors may take a specific path for their evolution. And when they work with us, they will be coming in that form of the energy that they're representing, of the different archetypes that they have taken through by doing, imagine it's almost like doing spiritual cleansing on themselves by being of help, so that they take a specific path together depending on their soul's evolution. So the myths are going to come with a certain power and suffering. The suffering, because the suffering is really honestly how we as humans make a very deep connection with each other, right? So through the suffering, and I always love Antonio Blay from Spain in the 80s. When he died, he was already talking about transpersonal psychology before it was a thing, where he was talking about how the pain is what leads us back to consciousness. And through that pain is when we can come back, because we have been lost. The pain brings us back to the light, to our source of wisdom, to our, who we are beyond our preconceived ideas. But without that pain, we wouldn't, because when we're happy, there is nothing to work on, right? But when there is pain, there is something there that has gone off the path. So through the pain, we can find our way back to the path. So the myths are going to help us understand. And what I want to invite you to do is to consider, as we go through this conversation today, what is the one thing perhaps that, as you listen to the parts of the conversation about the organs, what is the one thing in those specific parts of your body that are calling you back to consciousness, that have, like taken a side way, and now we're going to come back to the main road type of thing, right? Where maybe we didn't listen and we took a detour, but maybe that detour brought a lot of wisdom. And how can we come back? So the body's asking us to come back. Maybe we stay there too long. Maybe we took the detour for way too long. So this myth brings us back to understanding that we have veered off too far in either way of the streams, the polarities, and we need to come back to the center to find a different, I call it the third way, because this, these polarities, the streams are always pulling us so far that we may feel the ravage of what it does, right? When we're feeling that pull. So I said the third way, because the third way doesn't make me go through the streams. So let's just see. I want to approach it from the organs, because we can spend hours and hours talking about the theory behind what it means, right? And instead, when we bring it to the body, I don't know if you ever heard, you probably all have heard of the Holy Trinity. But what about the unholy Trinity? Anybody consider what that is? The unholy Trinity, the Holy, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. What is the unholy one? The feminine, the mother, right? The shadow, and the body. So the feminine that has been repressed, the Holy Trinity is all masculine energy. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all masculine. But the unholy one that we're trying to bring to balance, the feminine, the body, and the shadow, have qualities that are very mysterious. They're very feminine, obviously, because of the feminine energy. But also the body is also a representation, not only of the shadow, but also the feminine. So as we consider what that means for us, and the purpose of the body as something that we have repressed for so long, something that, and I'm very passionate about this because I did it myself. So I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't understand it. I spent all my life betraying the body because it was too painful to be in the body, right? And actually, in yesterday's ceremony, we spent hours and hours dealing with the mother and the betrayal that has been done to our mothers, our daughters, which is fascinating because there is no coincidences, right? Like everything lines up. So, and the shadow, because we all know the shadow has so much wisdom, but we have these own parts of ourselves for the interest of staying alive, the trauma that we experience. But it's time to bring it back. So how are the organs bringing us into this conflict? So how can you see this? Some of you that have done the dream program, you know, we always talk about the tension of the different parts in the dreams. And sometimes we have a dream and it's a little dream and we think it's a little dream, it doesn't really mean anything. And it ends up being something at a next level where there is so many parts calling our attention, and there are so many parts that are basically having tremendous tension between them because they're calling us to do something. What is it that the dream is calling us to do? And also the organs are in conflict with themselves. So when we find this tension, we can really understand what is it that is being asked of us. What is it that our soul and spirit is asking of us? So, for example, the heart, this, I think I just saw Claudia coming in. Claudia is in biology. She may be able to give us even more deeper insights. Exciting. I don't know if she's going to come on the camera. So the energy of the organ of the heart, the understanding that we need to work so much on what causes grief, attachment, in order for us to find and heal our heart and to really obtain the heart of, I call it the heart of the dragon, the heart of gold. Because through that process of letting go of the grief, the sadness, and the attachments that we have, sometimes the thing that we cannot really let go of, the resentment, the betrayal of the lost, right? It's so much that sometimes we are really swimming in the ocean, in the rivers, and you have those dreams where you're in water and it's so much water where you don't know how you're going to get out of that. And that's your spirit, your soul letting you know there is something here that you're still swimming in that is overwhelming. And what is that? And in the dreams, you can see that. So this idea of unity is coming back into balance with where we have been lost and too much in the either yin or and yang energy, but also the attachments. What am I attached to at a physical level, at an emotional level? Because without us working on that attachment, we are not going to be able to really open the heart. And obviously, some of the figures that are the most appropriate for us to look into, and some of you may see this in your dreams or ceremonies, is the Christ hanging on the cross. And when we see that in our dreams or ceremonies, right, that means we're working through the heart to liberate us from some of those attachments and the pain that we have carried. But the thing is that it's not just about us. It's about all of those that came before us, plus us. So we can never assume that everything that we're carrying is us. It's just me. No, it's not. Because I am the son of my ancestors. So what did they have to carry? And sometimes you can go in circles working 20, 30 years on something because you think it's you. But until you put yourself in the shoes of your ancestors, you won't understand that you've been carrying the wounds 4, 5, 2,000 years or more, who knows how long. And you were the one, if you're doing this work, it's because you were the one to do this work. You were the one chosen from the family to do this work. But it requires you to expand your filter of consciousness so that you can see beyond only our lives. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to understand what this means. The burdens that our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and the line beyond that, behind that. And what we are basically not projecting, that's not the right word, but what our descendants have to carry if we don't do this work is heavy. If we can feel that it's heavy, imagine what the next line has to deal with. So this is work that, is deep work, especially when we start working with the heart, because we have to feel what it felt for them to be harmed, to be killed, or to be the killers. Both, because we've been both, right? There's no shortcut for that. In the brain and mind, some of you may notice that you may have dreams with Athena, or then some of the wisdom gods, goddesses, or deities, Thoth, and they rule this brain-mind organ for the illumination that our body is not just, when we said, our body is just a body, is empty, is nothing, and just human, there is a sense of, and I did this for so long, the body doesn't matter. What matters is the spirit, because I'm too spiritual. So it took me, it was a big, long journey to get to the point where I could understand this, that this is a wisdom that is inherited in the body, that is beyond my wild imagination. Like, there is no way I can put into words what I experience when I experience the wisdom of the body, and how the different energies of the body, from maybe even, for simplicity's sake, I'll just say that we have different parts of the body that some of you, when we do the spiritual ceremonies, will know that sometimes they feel like animal, very animalistic, like the nose of a horse or something like that, the legs of a different animal, the hands Maybe sometimes they even look like spaceship or something like that. Why is that? There is so much wisdom in that. We're being shown images that we can comprehend to understand the arms as the wings of a spaceship or an angel, right? Our body is giving us indication of the wisdom that is carried there. But who is in charge of this vehicle until you arrive within your body? Who's there? I'm not going to get there because, I can get really dark really fast. So, but Athena is probably one of my favorite ones. A lot of people love the idea of Thoth. Obviously, there's so many that can be representing the archetype, the deities that we can look into to understand what is here for me. What is the shadow aspect of Athena? What is the wisdom that she carries? The positive aspects of her, the positive and the negatives of Odin and Thoth and so on. So we're looking at these energies to give us an idea of, sometimes we may be in a negative aspect of these energies where we are too far off, right? Or we are taking it into the point that we have a superiority complex. So either way, we have these energies, this myth in regards to specific energy. So where is the challenge in your mind? Are we too paranoid? Are we always thinking something bad is going to happen, or one thing happens and we go into the mind that is like taking over and is now everything is fine. 2 minutes later, oh my God, the worst thing is going to happen, right? So where is the energy, a deity or a spirit energy, whether you call it santos, saints, orishas, whatever we call them, that may represent that energy or that is responsible for helping people with that problem. That might give us also an indication of, and sometimes it will take you by surprise. Sometimes it will take you by surprise because the name that you think it is not what it is. So we have to put it up to the dream sometimes, meditations or breath work to gain these answers, where we can actually consider what energy is ruling my brain and what energy is ruling my heart and what energy is ruling, you see where I'm going? So all of these parts of the body that may be in conflict are being ruled by different energies, is what I'm saying. And we need to bring them back to balance. As we go into the sexual organs and the reproductive organs, which also includes, for the sake of this conversation, for the woman, the breast, the hips, for the men, the large muscles, the hair, and so on. There's so many parts of this. And there could be so many different energies that represent all of these parts. Just like if we go into astrology with Scorpio energy and so on, right? But let's consider how these organs are connected to the energy. All the chakras, the energy goes up. The only chakra that goes down is the root chakra. So when we're experiencing the healing of these energies, you're going to notice that the energy is moving up either through the left or through the right to make it to the top so that the Kundalini and the two snakes can salute themselves. So we may have the problem down in one of the reproductive centers. And you will notice that when you're working on that, if you're very sensitive, that the energy is actually moving up either to the left or to the right. Also with the hips and everything else. The only one that really goes down is the root chakra. So when we think of the reproductive organs, what are the energies, the deities? And this is also similar, I see this also similar to the snake, which is also related to the skin. But think of the deities, the archetypes, the different the forces of cosmic order that are represented with the cosmic egg, fertility, renovation, right? Being reborn. And for some of it, for some of you, it could be you're experiencing the energy of Shiva, or even Kali, or any of the Aztec deities or something like that are very much in touch with the snake energy. And if we have a very negative mind that is always in fear, oh my God, the snake is evil, we're going to leave it there because we're not spending our understanding of what these energies mean. So what areas in your body, if you have any of these challenges in these areas, in the reproductive organs, sexual organs, or the hips, which is very much also indicating ancestral challenges, right? Even with the breast as well. It's beyond us, right? These sexual organs normally are going to be also heavily connected to what happened to those that came before us. Yeah, I guess I want to make a stop here. Anybody has anything to add up to this point? We talked about the heart, the brain, and the sexual organs. No? Okay, so I'll continue with the liver, and then maybe we can have a conversation. Because I know some of you have a lot to share, so it would be a shame not to allow the space for that. The liver, actually, I was just talking to Claudia a couple of days, was it yesterday or the day before, about the liver, because in my witch friend and soul sister Abby also brought it up. This is something that is actually in the family line. Challenge with the liver for many, many generations. Naturally, it just happens in the family line. And I've been working on this actually for a while, because in the family line over 400 or 500 years ago, there was something significant that happened that brought this challenge with the liver. And this is the sense of vitality and what happened to my people, right? Just like what happened to probably all of our people with the slavery and the abuse and all of that, was the idea that I'd rather kill myself than experience the pain of what's going to happen if I become a slave. So a lot of our people killed themselves. It was their choice. And some of them obviously were sexually abused, raped, enslaved. So they lost their free will and sense of power. So this is a seed of passion, but this is also that passion is the idea of I can, right? The energy, the vitality, the power, the fire to make life happen. So we may be fully dysfunctional if we are taking the aspects of the shadow of the Dionysus, where he's always drinking and having fun with no attention in regard to responsibility of any kind, or Prometheus, right? Where the liver is being eaten daily, right? Constantly, because he stole something from the gods to give it to the common people. So And you may experience dreams where you're trying to get away with something, when you're stealing something, trying to get away. The idea of Prometheus trying to get away with something, stealing something to give it to somebody else that is less, not seeing as the gods and goddesses at the same level. Maybe Robin Hood, right? So in the dreams, we can experience these energies of lack of vitality, or seeing people that are completely dead in coffins, or that the blood is being sucked out somehow. And we may experience that, letting us know there is problems here, not only with the liver, but the conflict of being alive and being dead. And for years, I struggled with the idea around, as soon as it got dark, I will start feeling like something is off. There is a sense of death coming. And I struggled with that for many years, because I'm thinking, okay, it's me. Remember, I got to go beyond me, because it's not always just about me. So this idea of it gets dark, life is over, on to the next day, right? Our people went through that thousands of years ago. There was no power. I mean, even hundreds of years ago, there was no power. Everything got dark. You tell a little stories, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up the next morning and do it again. So in the shadow aspect of those experiences, instead of seeing the opportunity, and obviously, if you're very sensitive, you may also experience the energy. There is this major shift that happened. Daytime, the energies are different. At nighttime, there is a different energy, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So if you're sensitive, you're going to experience that shift in the energy that is taking over. But that doesn't mean I'm going to live with this forever. I have to do something about it. Why do I experience that? What is it that this is trying to teach me about myself, right? And obviously with the eyes, that's an obvious one. The eye of Horus, the eye of Rat, Argus. We may even see hundreds of eyes within our body waking up, right? When we see, or in the dreams, when we have those experiences, or in breath work. Or you may just see one eye in the head area. So there is here the organs are all connected, and when they go through the heart to make the energy go through the eyes, this is where the shift in perception is happening. So until we work on those things, we are going to have lenses that may not be for our highest benefit. So if we have issues with our eyes, seeing far, seeing close where we cannot see too close, but we can see far, or vice versa, we may need to contemplate on what is the reality that I'm trying to avoid, that I'm not trying to see. Maybe fear of seeing the truth, or seeing beyond, or seeing the future. If we're afraid of the future, of the unseen, we're going to have issues with that, right? So these energies may come in day-to-day experiences, or you may also experience them in the dream as well. In the skin, this is the boundary, the protection between me and the others, right? This is almost contemplating that sense of, I'm coming into this reality as I am. In the moment that I say I am separate and I feel alone, right? So there is this separation, maybe anxiety about this separation. And there are many figures that we can look into if we have some of these challenges with the skin. And obviously, when we're into past lives and other stuff, we can look into past lives where there have been serious death in the family, with being burnt alive or something like that. But beyond that, we really have to look into this sense of me and then, right? Or avoiding something, keeping something away, depending on the skin, right? What is happening with the skin. And the energy that is most related to the skin is the snake. Being born again. What is it that I'm being born into? Am I accepting or rejecting that rebirth? And obviously the breath in the lungs, the life force energy. So any of the wind deities may be related, may give us indication of what's happening in the breath, in our life force, breath of life that we can look into. The sound of the universe. We can even hear sounds in our dreams. Sometimes good ones, sometimes it feels really disturbing. But where is the sound coming? It's going to come from within your body. What part of your body is talking to you? Right? So let's make a stop here. Anything anybody wants to share about what we spoke about so far? You guys are so quiet. Claudia, and you go ahead.
Sorry. um, so personally, like I've been noticing like issues with my hip. Like yesterday, I actually even went to the chiropractor. And that just like connecting that to what you're talking about today is like I realize that I do need to do a lot more like ancestral work, and I have been like on this path, but it has been a little slower, and so I just need to like keep working on it and yeah, give myself like allow myself to continue to move forward as well. So
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Claudia, anything you would like to add about the organs? You're a master at this.
Hi, everyone. Well, actually, no, I'm not a master, but I am a biologist and I've done a lot of biotic and everything. The organs are very interesting. And I know my point of view will be from the biology. And whatever Victoria said is true, is really interesting. But each organ has several emotions that are embedded in the embryonic layers. For example, we were talking about liver, which is a very interesting organ because it has to be with scarcity, when we have those kind of feelings of scarcity, and when we have the kind of feelings of because it's an interesting organ because we have the liver as an organ, but we also have bile ducts, and we have the gallbladder that is in touch with the liver. So that will bring, or that will add to the liver that kind of the feelings of anger and there are situations where it's very complicated for us to understand that everything is there in each organ. The eyes are very complicated also because each part of the eye has something to talk about. But it's always, I don't want to see something and I don't want somebody to see me. But this is generalizing because each organ has something very, very specific. The brain, brain has lots of things because it is there are veins, vessels, the same as heart. The heart has lot of information. So, but I am just delighted to be here, Victoria. Thank you very much because everything is connected. The more that we know, the better, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is, I mean, the amount of work that I have put over the years to work with my eyes is beyond, like, years, because many different parts of the body are sending the information, and depending which side you're working on, mother or father, or sometimes both, the energy is going to make its way, and eventually you're moving all of this energy, and you can actually feel your eyes shifting and layers being taken off, like fogginess taking off. So it is very complicated. This is obviously very generic to invite you to be curious about what this is, right? Obviously, the whole point of doing this is to bring a different sense of understanding of what could be happening in the body beyond, I have a pain, I'm going to put a pill, right? Opening us to the energetic imprints that we carry that may be affecting our body that we have no idea of sometimes. Anybody else would like to share something? Chris, Abby, Natalie? No? Okay. Abby? Okay. So
Chris may, though. Did you have something, Chris?
When going through this, it was just a vision I got that our bodies, this vessel, it's like if you could just imagine just like a big spaceship that has a billion different buttons in there, and then whatever button is pushed from different ancestors, deities, the body, all these energies is what you're doing now, like what you're going through. So it may not be all the buttons, it might be some, and I just got a picture of that.
yeah, it's very complex. I wish I could show you through my eyes what I experience in dreams or meditations or whatever trances, the intelligence, the wisdom of the body at a level that is beyond my it's really beyond my comprehension. Like I have to bow to the wisdom that is scary, that sometimes we don't really pay attention to, and it's, unfortunately we don't have access to that at a deep level until we go through really bringing ourselves back into this body. And that takes years of work. It's not an overnight situation. But those of you that have been doing work with me probably have a glimpse of what that is if you have arrived there. And it is, I mean, the feeling of, I finally made it home. I'm finally in my body is probably one of the most beautiful things that we can experience, because we haven't been in our bodies, right? We have betrayed our bodies, and the pain that we can feel when we realize that, oof, it is tough. And we are grieving that constantly, and we don't know that we're grieving it. And sometimes we go around in circles, and it's because we're grieving that we don't even know that we're not in this body. We're flying around it. So anyways, why this today? Why are we really talking about this? Because, our ancestors, our parents, grandparents told us stories. They share stories and kept the myth alive for the purpose of teaching, right? But we don't have that anymore. We have lost that, especially if we are in the US and some of these Western cultures. We lost that. When there was no power in the Dominican Republic, my grandparents will be telling stories, and we will hear stories and stories and stories. That was the soap opera. That was the movie. But in the US, we don't really have that. So throughout the years, we have been losing this the wisdom of our ancestors through the story, because what they did was they will tell us stories and they will spin it to teach us something that they wanted us to learn. We don't have that. We have movies. We rely on movies, Netflix, Prime, news, right? Social media, but we don't have deep shares where people are connecting with each other and sharing something meaningful. Even when it was scary, we will learn something from it and we will feel in community. We don't have that any longer. We need a sense of community to share. This is why some people said, when we share a story, a dream, that dream doesn't belong to us any longer. It belongs to the collective, to the group, to the family. And together we learn from it. So I believe that this is the way that we can go back into gaining some of that wisdom by working with mythology, our personal mythology, our personal fairy tales, our dreams, in order for us to understand what is it that our soul and spirit is asking of us. I'm not going to go through the should I go through the Persephone? I mean, no, I don't think we're going to have time because I really want to do breath work. Everybody's good to do breath work? Yeah? So we are going to reflect on what is it. You might want to bring the intention into your journey of where are we in which terrain are we navigating through at this moment? Or which part of your body is trying to give you the information, the wisdom that you need to let something go or to bring a new energy into your life? We go into the underground to work with the shadow, the hidden aspects that have a gift, a wisdom, right? When we do the therapy work, we're working on the shadows and we're bringing parts of ourselves that we have lost. We can go through the labyrinth, and the labyrinth. So when we go to the underground, you will notice in your dreams that we're going down, or that there is darkness, or that there is shadows in your dreams. I'm not talking about shadow entity. I'm talking about a part or a person that looks, it maybe is hidden. There's not too much light. Maybe it's behind you. When we work with complexes that are dealing with the brain, the mind, we're dealing with places where we cannot find the way out. So where are we navigating confusion? And in your dreams, that it may look like you are in a place and no matter what you do, you cannot find your way out. You might be looking for a classroom, or you might be in a neighborhood that there is no way out. If you're looking at the underground and working with the shadows, you may experience that you're going down ladders or going down into the basement or caves or something like that. Or you may be going through the mountains and you're trying to gain a different, higher perspective. There is some sort of progress here. You may be somewhere where you're trying to get to a mountain to gain a higher, different perspective, or you may be completely in the forest, completely feeling lost. This is a deeper part of your subconscious that sometimes it can feel terrifying as well. So what do you want to bring into your breath work? Obviously, it's going to be up to you. I'm just giving you some ideas. We are going to do breath work for an hour, if everybody's good with that, 45 minutes to an hour, and then we're going to integrate right after. How does that sound? And I don't know, Abby, I don't know if you were going to be able to stay. You let me know. But if you need to go, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pull some music. Let's set up the space. I think everybody here has done breath work with me before. Is that Martin? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. But we are going to do breath work. You can do it sitting up. It's uncomfortable, or you could do it moving around or laying down. Okay. So we're gonna set up, make sure that you have water, because you're gonna need it, a tissue paper in case you need it, pillows and blankets so that you can get comfy, and we're gonna come back in 5 minutes. Give you time to set up. This was amazing. Thank you.